Hello MPL fans and welcome to week 4 of the power rankings. I'm your host Bulky Candy, and this week we just passed week 4, which is the third of the way through the season, and week 5 starts tomorrow, and this is when things really start to shape up and really start to come together and things start to form and mesh together. So let's just jump straight into it. Not making any movement and coming into the number 16 slot, we have the East Lansing Toxicroaks out of the Red Division, coached by Poi. And there really wasn't much to evaluate on how the match was played, but he could have gone for some damage on the Kingdra, like a Scald or even like Grass Knot or Ice Beam, or if he had Ice Beam, or what are the other two moves I'm thinking of? Hydro Pump and Flash Cannon, although those are more choice specs sets, and I think he was going for more of a bulky set with the Stealth Rocks, but really going for the Rocks killed him because the Kingdra was able to get a D-Dance up, and that was the match from there on out. Kingdra just swept. So, I mean, yes, there was a better play he could have made, and he could have avoided the situation that he got himself into by not making that play, but he's done this multiple times now, and for that reason, I'm going to have to put him at 16 again. Coming in number 15 slot this week, dropping 6 spots, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers, coached by Ipa. And what really killed Ipa in this match was that he let Mamoswine go down to a Grass Knot from Electros, which was really early, which was actually a very, very well done play by Mystic. Hand clap for you on that. And then he also let Vaporeon go down really early, like turn 13 or 14, to Mega Gardevoir, of all things that it could have gone down to. I mean, really, Mystic didn't really have an answer to Vaporeon once Electros went down, which it went down pretty early as well. And then, also, the way he played Mega Sableye made it so that it was pretty much useless in the end. I mean, it came in on Earthquake from a Donphan, took that fine, went for a Will-O-Wisp, and missed when Myelota came in. Then it came in like 9 or 10 turns later, and took a Play Rough from a Donphan, which crippled it a little bit, and then went for a Will-O-Wisp, and Typhlosion came in and just bodied it with a Flame Charge. So it was pretty much useless. It did nothing but give Mystic a free kill, basically. And then there's the fact that he brought both Jirachi and Victini, and I didn't really see a reason for doing that, seeing as how one of Victini's best moves, being Bolt Strike, is completely walled by Donphan, being that it's ground type and it's immune to electric type attacks. I also feel that Fortress is a much bigger threat to Mystic's team than Jirachi, because Mystic has a bunch of physical attackers, like Donphan and Bisharp, and even Typhlosion, from what I saw, was a physical attacker. I mean, that's half his team right there. That is half his team right there that it just walls, although Typhlosion would probably OHKO it. I feel that Fortress deals with the Mega Gardevoir just as well, if not a tad bit better, than Jirachi does, and can also set up rocks, which are the two things that Jirachi did. It switched in on Gardevoir and set up rocks like turn 20, which is actually kind of late, but whatever. And then also he brought triple dual typing, and what I mean by that is he brought 2 dark types in Crawdaunt and Mega Sableye. He brought 2 water types in Crawdaunt and Vaporeon, and then he brought 2 psychic types in Jirachi and Victini, which in my opinion, especially since he had one Mon that was dual typed twice, made his team weaker rather than stronger, because honestly, let's say you have 2 water types, those get bodied, absolutely bodied, by electric type attack, like a Bolt Strike from a Victini, or even like any electric type Mon that's using Stab Thunderbolt, unless it's like Quagsire or Swampert or Seismitoad or Kingdra, which is Water Dragon. Those all resist or are immune. And so overall, I think Ipa still has a lot to learn, and I'd love to see him grow, but unfortunately, Ipa has gotten 4 strikes for late uploading, which officially removes him from the league, and I want to officially, formally myself, welcome our newest coach to the league, the coach of the Atlantum United, Houndoom. Welcome to the league, man. Good luck, have fun, GLHF. Coming in at the number 14 slot, moving down 2 slots from last week, we have the Oakland Raichus out of the Blue Division, coached by War Tortoise. And in my opinion, Anthony made too many predictable plays, or vanilla plays if you want to put it that way, which allowed Blake to pretty much just dance circles around him. For example, in turn 13, Anthony could have gone for a poison jab with his Congelder against Blake when his Clefable came in for the PZ, and made a great prediction instead of going for a knockoff and literally just knocking off Clefable's item and doing minimal to no damage. And even though Mesprit had Iron Tail for Clefable, with an attack lowering nature, like Modest Nature, and no investments, a Poison Jab from a Quillfish, which Anthony does have, does 33 to 39% to a max defense bold Clefable. Fully invested, an Adamant Poison Jab from Quillfish does 51 to 61%, which is a 96% chance to 2-hit KO after Leftovers recovery, but the Congelder did knock off the Leftovers, so it would have been a guaranteed 2-hit KO. So I really don't see a reason that he did not bring Quillfish for Clefable, because that's honestly, I think, what anyone else would have done. They would have brought the Quillfish for Clefable over Dragonite or Crocodile, or even Jolteon, really, but then again, Jolteon will probably get switched in at some point over the Dragonite or the Crocodile, because it's just too good of a mon to leave out. Coming in at the number 13 slot, dropping 4 slots from last week, we have the Manchester High Dragons, coached by Bait Attacks. And I thought Christian would have known that HP Ice comes standard on pretty much any electric type, especially Raikou. And honestly, Infiltrator Spiritomb was definitely the play on that. And I feel like he should have swapped that in right after Gligar went out, or even just kept it in and gone for the Will-O-Wisp on the Calm Mind, and then Sucker Punch whenever Raikou would have attacked, if it would have attacked. Or maybe even doubling off of Gligar, or baiting the HP Ice and doubling off into Keldeo, or even Magneton, as even like Magneton was a huge problem for Eric's team, barring Diggersby. I mean, because it walls Raikou, it destroys Mega Altaria with a Flash Cannon, it really puts a dent into Noivern, it buffs for Alligator, and destroys Mandibuzz as well, and it gets out of sight when Diggersby comes in, which can be dealt with by a close combat from Lucario, and then Raikou can come in, and Raikou comes in, and Christian could have 4 or 5 Mons left, 3, 4, 5 Mons left, and deal with it that way. So, I don't know, I just felt that Christian could have played the game much better than he did and kind of panicked once Gligar went down, because that was his swap for Raikou. Filling the number 12 slots, dropping 3 spots from last week, we have the Sacramento Kingdras, coached by Eric out of the Yellow Division. And I know some of you are probably saying, whoa. But Eric just got a 5-0 against Feint Attack, so why is he not higher? Just hear me out on this. I have one word for Eric's match. Raikou. Raikou won Eric the game because after Calm Mind, T-Bolt OHKO's half of Christian's team, and HP Ice OHKO's Gligar, as we all saw. So, after Raikou went down, Eric just mopped up the game with Feraligatr and Diggersby. Actually, Eric played perfectly, especially after playing for differential on the Diggersby to Gator swap. Playing for that differential, that was actually really well done, but I still feel like Eric has a lot he can show and hasn't really shown off everything that he can do. I feel like he's a much better battler than 12th place, but I feel like to me, he hasn't shown that, and that's what's really gonna push him up in the rankings, in the power rankings at least, is really showing what he can do and how well he can cope, especially after things don't go his way. Everything went his way in this match, and that's why he did so well. But if a few things don't go his way, I see him start to kind of like panic a little bit, and that's what really pushes it down. And so that's my reasoning. I hope that makes sense to you guys, and I hope you guys understand why I put him this low. But I mean, hey, there's 8 weeks left, and if he 5-0s everyone for the next 8 weeks, he'll be number 1. I can guarantee you that. Coming in the number 11 slot, dropping 4 slots this week, we have the Memphis Ursaring out of the Green Division, coached by Ragenot. And honestly, what really killed him in this match is letting Manaphy and Zapdos go down so early. Because after those two go down, Mega Slowbro has a field day. Because all it needs is to come in, Mega Evolve, and get a couple Calm Minds up. Because once it gets a couple Calm Minds up, it's so naturally physically defensive that it does not die. It's kind of like Mega Venusaur. It physically, defensively does not die. And once you get a couple Calm Minds up, this thing will not die. It refuses to go down. Refuses to go down. You'll get it down to 1 HP, then you're going to kill it the next turn? Nope, slack off. Surprise! And after Zapdos went down, honestly, he literally did just have a field day and let Shaman and Skarmory get a little bit of the action, just taking out a couple mons. And Jack just picked apart Chris's team with Mega Slowbro having a field day. And there was a redeeming quality that Chris did. He played the Stall War out against Slowbro with Snorlax, but ultimately lost it. And that's really the only redeeming quality of the match for Chris. Coming in the number 10 slot this week, moving up 4 slots from last week, we have the Viridian Beedrills out of the Red Division, coached by none other than the one and only Dench B. Sorry, I love doing that. Anyway, the highlight of this match is obviously the D-Dance Life Orb Kingdra, living on 4 HP to get the 6-0, but honestly, Dench played the game perfectly, played the prediction game perfectly. If Poi would have gotten the least amount of damage on Kingdra so that it went down earlier, Dench would have been able to clean up nicely and come away with the W anyways. And honestly, he made the best prediction of the season, predicting the Empoleon to either switch out or go for rocks, and getting the D-Dance up and being able to pick up the 6-0. Congrats on the 6-0, Dench. You deserved it. Coming in at the number 9 slot this week, moving down 6 slots from last week, we have the Phoenix Sunfloras out of the Yellow Division, coached by Rizzy Pow. And in all honesty, I'm going to clear it up right now, Riz did not play bad at all. It's the fact that once Bronzong went down, he had absolutely no defensive core, aside from Rotom Heat, which did nothing against Bowser except be destroyed by Rotom Wash's Hydro Pump. So, this is more about the team build rather than how the match was played. Honestly, I think Latios does a decent job as a wall too, especially with Calm Mind, but that's my opinion. And I feel like Riz can build a better defensive core because all I've seen as a defensive core from him is Bronzong and Rotom Heat, and sometimes Rotom Heat doesn't work out, like in this match. Rotom Heat literally did nothing but Volt Switch a couple times and I think get a Toxic off on Charizard X, but Bowser was going to let Charizard X go down anyways, so it didn't really matter, honestly. So, I just would like to see a better team build from Riz. But he did not play bad at all. At all. He just did not play bad, it was just the team build that really killed him. Coming in at the number 8 slot, moving up 5 slots from last week, we have the Wolverhampton Weaviles out of the Green Division, coached by just a Weavile, and Jack played this game amazingly, almost perfect. Putting the Manaphy to sleep with the Relic Song from the Meloetta, and then taking it out with the Close Combat, and then taking out the Zapdos, opened up Mega Slowbro, as I said earlier, to just have a field day. And, I mean, he wrapped up the game with Mega Slowbro, but with, I mean, we had a cameo with Skarmory and Shaman for that. And, I mean, as I said before, Mega Slowbro, after a couple Calm Minds, refuses to die. It just does not go down. So that was really well played by Jack, and he really impressed me. I feel like I did be a little too harsh on him last week, putting him down so low, and I apologize for that, but you've proven yourself, Jack. Keep up the good work. Coming in the number 7 slot, moving up 1 slot from last week, we have the Anastar Umbreons out of the red division, coached by Mystic Umbreon. And Mystic prepared for this game and played the game the best he has this entire season. Having 3 ways to deal with Fortress and Jirachi, kind of like in parentheses, and Jirachi, because he prepared for Fortress more than he did Jirachi, but it worked out anyways, with Flamethrower on Electros, Hidden Power Fire Mega Gardevoir, I did not see that coming, and having Typhlosion with, honestly, Flame Charge, probably Flamethrower, Fire Blast, and a couple other moves. He was very well prepared for that. And with his Milotic, put in so much work, whittling down Vaporeon and using Icy Wind to keep his speed down so that he was in control was just absolutely genius, and nothing that I thought would have ever been viable. I'm like, Icy Wind? Pfft. I mean, it lowers speed, but please, it's Icy Wind. It doesn't do anything. But hey, you do you make it work and prove yourself, and hey, look where you end up. Good job, Mystic. Coming in at the number 6 slot this week, we have the San Francisco 49 Tails out of the yellow division, coached by Baiser, moving up a whopping 9 slots. A whopping 9 slots. Baiser played what I think is debatably game of the week. He played so well that it was almost perfectly done, honestly. He only had 2 big mistakes in my mind, which was leaving the Gangarian on pursuit and letting the Umbreon take his superpower from Azumarill. Otherwise, how he handled Bronzong, got the great switch to Scizor to KO the Tyranitar, and cleaned up the game with Rotom Wash was very well executed, and put on display his great ability as a battler, and made me really evaluate why I put him so low last week. I think I was being a little too critical last week, and I apologize to everyone for that. But bravo, Baiser, bravo. Coming in as the low man on the totem pole in the top 5 this week, we have the St. Louis Sableyes out of the green division, coached by Donaki. They moved up 1 slot from last week. And although Dam generally plays a very defensive game, especially this week against Jordy with Cresselia and Magnezone, he proved to be a very good matchup, and actually had a chance to give Jordy his first loss. I was absolutely shocked that Dan pulled out a 2-0 against Jordy, and he just played his heart out to the very end. That's awesome spirit right there, and it's what I'd love to see. But aside from that, Dan gave Jordy his hardest game yet, and I cannot wait for that matchup. It's unfortunate that really what started making his game fall apart was the EQ from Gyarados taking out the Magnezone. But hey, Mega Metachamp put in nothing but the finest of work until it went down. Good job, Dan. Good job. You guys might hate me for this, but this week we do have a tie for 3rd, and the first team I'm going to talk about is the Houston Axews out of the blue division, coached by Slaxorus, technically moving down 1 slot from last week. Now, I have Slax here due to the fact that even though he lost in a 5-0, he hung with Cypher until it was pretty much too late for him to do anything and really dish out damage to give himself a shot at winning. And a lot of that comes from relying strictly on hacks from Togekiss, as he's done pretty much the entire season, and did for 20 turns this match before it got frozen and then taken out. Which I guess is kind of karma for the 2 flinches on Gramble and the flinch on Alakazam. And then, our other team tying for 3rd is the Detroit Leopards, moving up 2 slots from last week. And Cypher is on the other end of the second battle that could have been game of the week. Honestly, I couldn't find anything to separate Slax and Cypher other than the win, but in my opinion, that isn't fair to Slax, and that's why they're tied. Cypher played a tough game against Slax, and he just happened to get his Scrafty in at the right time to clean up the game. He utilized his other 5 Mons. I find that funny that he used 5 Mons against 1 other Mon. But he utilized them so well to wear down and eventually take out Togekiss. Although he did get a freeze, he would have taken it out like a couple turns later anyways. And he just wore that down, and from there on out, it was all Scrafty's game. And what are you supposed to do against a +2 Moxie Scrafty? I don't know either. Coming in the number 2 slot this week, moving up 2 slots from last week, we have the Baltimore Braveyards out of the Blue Division, coached by Moxie Infernape, and oh my god, Becky. Blake has been playing lights out ever since his match against Cypher, having a +3 differential in his last 3 games, which gives him a +10 differential overall. And he's absolutely been outplaying and outclassing his opponents. And for example, Anthony this week, by basically stalling with Clefable and getting two knockouts with it before going down, and then having Sandslash and Salamence clean up the game, having 2 KOs each. He's just been playing so well and been doing things absolutely right. Good job, Blake. Well done. Well done. Rounding out the league in the number 1 slot, not making any movement this week, we have the Leeds Rhyhorns out of the Green Division, coached by Jordy LDR. And honestly, Jordy is on top because he hasn't lost. And I know that sounds kind of like, oh, well, you're just giving him a top spot because he hasn't lost. But honestly, it's because he hasn't lost because he's playing as the best team in the league right now. Stat-wise, he's the best team in the league. And no, this is not based off all stats. I mean, yeah, number 1 and number 2 are the same stat-wise and power rankings-wise, but number 3 is number 9. The number 14 team is number 6. The number 8 team is number 12. I mean, a lot of this is just based off play, and how Jordy has played is honestly the best in the league, stat-wise and basically logically-wise. You cannot deny that. You cannot deny that. Yes, Jordy had a bump in the road. Not a bump in the road. He had a huge bump in the road. He fell into a crater. I mean, I mentioned earlier that Jordy had probably his most competitive match yet against Dan. And if it weren't for him having the audacity to put EQ on his Gyarados to deal with Magnezone, he probably would have lost or come a lot closer to losing. And if it weren't for Dan packing Mega Medicham in the back, it probably would have been a 3-0 for Jordy. But Jordy is still playing as the best team in the league right now, so I cannot justifiably move him down. But good job, Jordy. You've been playing really well. Good job. That, ladies and gentlemen, is going to wrap up this week's Power Rankings. If you guys like this week's Power Rankings, hit that like button. And if you really like this week's Power Rankings and you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date every single week on the MPL. League matches do go up today. I'm actually uploading this on Friday because Thanksgiving is not a good day to upload this, in my opinion. And if you guys didn't like this week's Power Rankings, then go ahead and leave a dislike. And if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns, leave them down in the comment section below, and I will reply either through my own channel or through the MPL page. And I will see you guys next week for Week 5 Power Rankings. Bye!